Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the Big Movement Podcast. And today, we have special guests. We have Arvin Khamseh, who helps entrepreneurs actually hack their biology and build a business around it so they can improve their sleeping, because people want better sleep, and improve their brain performance, because it's all revolving on how you sleep, how you exercise, all of these things that have a dramatic impact in terms of what you do on a daily basis. So let's give a warm welcome to Arvin. So Arvin, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Byron.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's such a thrill to be here.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. So now, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the whole notion of helping people hack their biology?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember when I was about, I want to say 8 or 9 years old, I saw my mom reading one of Tony Robbins' books, and this is a long time ago, and I just vividly remember that time, and I asked her questions about like, oh, so what is this book? What is so special about this guy? And the things I got from my conversation with my mom at that point was that this guy is very successful, and then you can also read books to be successful like them, because success leaves clues. And then but above all, my mom said that he owned an island. And I just thought, oh my God, this is so amazing. That's something I want to do at that age. And I thought it's just such a great thing to have an island and be able to invite your friends, family, and just have a really good time. And so that was my introduction to personal development and just really working on yourself so you can develop yourself for a better life, more successful life. And then fast forward, I started reading a lot of books, and to some extent that I realized I can even read one book a day. And so I started doing that for a while, and I was just getting so much from just reading and going to conferences, almost, going to so many different conferences with so many people, and just thinking, okay, this is great. I'm learning a lot. And then at some point, I realized a lot of professionals and entrepreneurs are busy and really busy, and they have health goals. They want to take care of themselves. They want to protect their assets. And their body is one of the most important assets that they have, that they can protect it. And they just don't have time for it, or they don't know how to do it. And so I would share with people in my social groups and all these entrepreneurs and business owners, I would tell them what I do and how I'm still on top of my game with, just having, I remember there was a time I had 3 jobs. I was co-director of sponsorship for TEDx and just doing so many different things, and still was able to take care of myself, take care of my health. And so I would share with people, I would share what worked, what didn't work for me, and people would find it helpful. And then fast forward again, I thought, oh, well, can I make a business out of this? Can I monetize this? And so I did. So that's how my business came about.
Oh, excellent. And it's usually of different ways of how a business turns around. People start asking, well, how did you do that? Because you found something that works. You think about how many people that they want more energy, they want more productivity, but they're not sure about what's really the way to do it. They'll read book after book, and they're still at the starting line wondering, well, all that stuff makes sense, but still, how do I go about doing it?
Yeah, and I think I recognize sometimes that there is that gap between what we know and what we do. And it's so important to bridge that gap, and so important to just not have the distance between the amount of knowledge that we have and how much we implement. Because I also remember there was a time, I didn't share this, there was a time that I was, all going to all these conferences and reading all these books, and I was just thinking, I am using some of these stuff that I'm learning, but not all. And so I started thinking, okay, I want to develop this policy for myself to only take on new information when I'm done implementing everything I know. And so I think it's good to intellectually know something, but and also it's better to intellectually and emotionally know it and just implement it too, as you were saying. So the people know this stuff, but then they don't take actions on it.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the key things is the actions that are taken, because some people are in that perpetual state of learning and never implement, and this implementation that allows you to start refining your actions of what works, what doesn't work, and so on.
That's right. Yeah, and just having, I guess, I tell some of my clients that we can, when you get into personal development and just hacking your biology, hacking your business, and all these great things that you can do to boost your performance and just take your life to the next level, they're all great. But then they also, sometimes we can also become these personal development junkies. They're just like learning all these tools and then not doing much with them.
Right. And, people do that all the time, or they go from one seminar to the next. And it's disturbing because they're always looking for that one thing they need to hear, that one answer. But it always comes down to you're not going to find it until you just start doing it. You start to make the changes to become that person.
Yeah. And I think it's also, so one of my mentors, he tells me all the time that it's like, you actually don't need to go to any conferences. You actually don't need to don't need to read a lot of books. If you just tune in with your intuition and that voice, if you hear it and just be very clear on what you're doing, you can do all this stuff. Because if you think about it, all these people who are writing books and are doing conferences, they started, and some of them didn't have all these resources that we have right now. And so how much, I guess it's important to have that self-reliance as well. I think that's one of the best things that I learned, to just say, hey, all these messages are there, and like people telling me all these stuff that I can do. And the best thing, I can do is not to just do exactly what they say and become them. It's probably just learn that and then do something that is about me.
Right.
And just developing myself to something that other people later on gonna learn about, or maybe I write about it. Maybe I go to conferences and talk about it myself.
Right, exactly. And it's important because you need to take that story where it's a seminar, it can be a catalyst to what we want to accomplish, but at the end of the day, we still have to do the work that's talked about. It's not just you go to this, you feel good, like, okay, I feel good now, and that's it. What's going to happen next? How are you going to take that information, that knowledge, and make the changes? And I think where people get stuck too is they look at, if they're, let's say, at a 4 or 5 day seminar, like, I have all this information, but they don't know where to begin implementation.
Right. Yeah, and I just recently went to this 4-day seminar myself, and I would see some people would take like 2 notebooks worth of notes, and to me, that's rewriting, like subscribing, like, that's something the virtual assistant should do for that person who's presenting. Maybe subscribe him the whole event. I think it's so important to like figure out, okay, so I learned this, and how can I customize it to my life right now? And just start doing it, as opposed to just having this huge library of knowledge and maybe notes and everything that you can just take from different conferences, and then just keep them somewhere safe.
Right.
And just say, okay, so I have these. Now I have these. That's great.
Right, exactly. That's just the way you have to look at it. When you think about taking notes, where I think people get into this mindset is that they have to write down every last word that's being said instead of what are the memory joggers? What are those key things that can re-trigger the memory that you had at the event? Like, oh, okay, so this person talked about blank. What's that one word or what's a diagram that encapsulates that idea? So you look like, oh, I remember that whole conversation instead of I must write down every single word. Because I learned ages ago the easiest way to take notes is things that are going to cause you to remember what the heck you heard in the first place, not try to frantically write down every word, which would be really difficult to do when you think about it.
And also add to that, I think it's also good to have this maybe add toward the end of your notebook, or maybe in a different notebook, just say, okay, actionable steps. What are some things I can do today? Just write it down like immediately, as opposed to just say, well, at some point I review those notes, because sometimes we don't review those notes,
right?
And they're just there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's so true. We have to review those things. So now, when we're looking at this big picture of stuff with what's going on, what's the first thing you do with you're working with the client to help them begin hacking their biology? Where do you start at?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to do is to figure out where they are exactly, because if we don't know where they are, then we can't figure out where they're going, and we can't really have a good plan for getting to where they want to get to. And so the assessment period is one of the most important things I value for my clients as well, to just figure out first of all, what are their goals, where are they exactly. So to give you a concrete example, let's say if someone wants to lose weight, and they're already, let's say every day they have, I don't know, let's say seven donuts every day. And then for that person to just say, hey, if I don't know that, and then just say, hey, I think you should just go on a diet, and just say, hey, this is the holistic view I have on diet, and here, just go do it. And that's not going to work, because this person, we're going to figure out where they exactly at, which is, okay, so 6 or 7 donuts, that's a lot of sugar to cut down on.
Right.
And so how can we make it customizable to them, to just say, okay, for that person, going, let's say 0 sugar for tomorrow, that's probably a little bit difficult. Some people are committed to do that. That's okay. And that's good, again, about assessment, but some people not. And so we want to figure out, okay, where are they? And then how can we develop this amazing plan that they love, and so they can get closer to the goals that they have.
Right, exactly. You have to have goals that are in place, which can have a tremendous impact on what's going on and how to get there. And also, simply, like you said there, it's sometimes that leap forward, it can be insurmountable. If you're used to having 7 donuts a day, going cold turkey might be a little bit difficult.
Right.
You think about the amount of sugar, like, okay, I'm going from all this sugar down to nothing. Yeah.
Right.
But people won't want to be near that person for a little while.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's understandable. You have to know where they are, and then obviously knowing their goals. But then what happens?
Right. And so once we figure out where they are exactly, then we develop that plan based on their goals. And I really appreciate people. I guess the clients that I enjoy working with a lot are the ones that are very ambitious. I think that's the whole notion of hacking, is that, let's say if traditionally people think that, okay, something is possible in 12 years, we want to do it for a year. And how can we pack that person, that client, with knowledge, with empowerment, with tools, so that person can grow so much and so much more than other people traditionally would do in, let's say, in whatever timeline they have. So the next step would be just say, okay, so now we know what our goals are, and then let's develop some habits around the goals that you have, and then start with those habits today. We start with them like now. And then And then we take notes. We take notes as we go. We take notes and just figure out, okay, how do we feel about these habits that we have, these new actionable steps that we have, and then as we do them, we just customize it more and more to the person who is going through the program. And so that way they know this is something that they can do. It's not because the I guess the alternative would be just say, hey, for the same example that we talked about, for that person that eats 7 donuts a day, just say, hey, Google, how do I cut sugar? And then there's so much materials out there, and what a program does for a person is something that's customizable, something that's about them, and just making sure guiding them through the way to be able to get there.
Right, exactly. That's so critical. Okay. Now, then, obviously, going into these different areas, and with this covers like that eating thing of knowing that, but then with something like sleep, how can someone really hack their sleep? Because you hear people saying, "Oh, I have to have 8 hours, otherwise it's not pretty."
Right.
How do people really begin improving their sleep so they can have more hours of the day to get stuff done?
Yeah, I would say sleeping is so important. So I want to start with that, and I'm glad that you brought it up. And then just go say again, through the assessment period, if we figure out, if let's say that person who's my client, if the client has to stay awake at night, maybe it's a nurse, or if it's a doctor that's on call, so that's a whole another level. That's so different to someone else who has the opportunity to sleep whenever they want.
Right.
So then sometimes it comes down to that person just saying, okay, maybe there are big changes that needs to be done in my life to be able to protect my health. Maybe I don't want to work as I don't want to work nightly, or I don't want to do this anymore, or sometimes those are like the big shifts and big changes when people realize, okay, they have to do it, or sometimes people just want to take care of themselves better. And then on a milder spectrum is someone saying, okay, I only get 4 hours of sleep, and I think I need more sleep, but then I don't have time for it. And then, so in that situation, then we would figure out, okay, first of all, we would look at their schedule, just say, okay, maybe we just take out a lot of things from your schedule, like 60-70% of things from your schedule, because maybe the things that you're doing is just hard work. Maybe it's not smart work. Maybe that way we can find a time for you to sleep enough. And then sometimes I was reading this book called Essentialism. There's this guy who was nominated for the Young Leader Entrepreneur of internationally, and he thought that if he was to just sleep 5 hours a day, then he would get more time on his business. So, and then after 2 years, he had to take a break for a year because his health was not in a very great condition. Mm-hmm. So it's so important. Just say, okay, is it sustainable for me to not sleep like 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day, and just go on with my business, and then maybe like in 7 months find out that, okay, my business now takes off, and then now I can't run my business. I have to just delegate it to someone else because my health is not in a great place.
Right.
And so again, doing assessment, figuring out where they're at, and then how can they, prioritize sleep, because sometimes that's what it takes.
Right.
Just figure out, okay, this sleep is important, and then, and you can feel it. You can feel, if you wake up and just being just really grumpy and not feeling good, feeling like, oh, you got hit by a truck last night. It's just so different to just think, okay, if I wake up and then just thinking, this is amazing. This is another day. I'm so energetic. I want to do things that I have on my schedule.
Right, exactly. That's so critical, is that you have to figure out what's going to work best and then begin optimizing it. It's not just automatically going by what somebody says that, oh, you have to have 8 hours. Or someone will say, oh, you can get by on 4. Everybody has that magic number once you peel back all the layers.
Exactly. And there was a study on, I think it was a Harvard study where they studied people, a good population of people, just figuring out, okay, can people actually sleep less than 6 hours? And what they found was that 95% of people cannot do that. So for people who think they can and just say, oh, they've been doing it really well. And I know I say this for people. I've done it myself. There was a time I asked one of my friend who used to be a special contractor for the military, and he was a bodyguard for a lot of celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me about this routine of just sleeping every 4 hours for 20 minutes and being able to cut so many hours and then just using that time and just be more productive.
Yeah.
So it worked for a week. After that, I was done. Like that was not working. And so there's that temptation, just say, oh, I think I can do a lot more. It's like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and I think I can do so much more tonight. Should I just cut on hours of sleep and then work on my business? I'm a mom. Can I just help out with my kids? And I'm a, let's say, professional. Can I just do some admin work this time? But then you would say also, okay, is it worth it? Is the just doing the cost benefit analysis? You're saying, okay, is it worth it to just wake up another day having to redo a lot of the stuff I just did because I wasn't I wasn't getting enough sleep.
Right.
And then take it from there.
Right, exactly. It doesn't do you any good. Like, hey, I didn't sleep that much, but you had to redo your work. Is that really beneficial long term? That's the real, thing that people have to look at. But, it's just like anything else. You have to think about what's going to be truly working for you when it comes down to sleep. How can you maximize it? So ultimately, what is it that when it comes to sleep, how can people start getting, let's say, more restful sleep so it feels better, so they don't feel, let's say, as exhausted, where the first thing they want to do is rush to a coffee pot and like down a gallon of it?
Right. And when I have people, as clients and people who go through my online program, I actually tell them that you don't need coffee. You can get off coffee and feel as energetic, if not more, just by following the routines that I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And, just knowing that, okay, so you get coffee in the morning and then you have to wait for the crash to come, that's not exciting to me.
Right.
I want to just say, how can I hack my biology so that I can just be as energetic naturally. So my body is recreating that situation as if I did drink coffee. And so just, I guess, it's like, there's so many things that people can do to get there. And for just specifically, we're talking about sleep, I think, let's say, can we first of all get 90-minute cycles of sleep? So sleeping for, let's say, 6 hours or 7 hours and a half or 9 hours. And then once we did that, we have that habit going on, then can we just make the temperature of the room at a certain temperature? Like I put it, I think, on 62 and for a night. And so it's chilly, you get, you have a blanket on, you tucked in, and your metabolism is going to function a lot more, optimized as opposed to just having this warm or hot room. So many different things you can put in place to just wake up to this amazing day and just thinking, okay, this is great. I feel very energetic. I'm ready to start my day without thinking, I have to do coffee and I don't know what I'm going to do this morning. I don't feel like doing anything. So, and I know that because I've been there. I've been there myself.
Right. Yeah, it makes a difference if you start optimizing those little key components so you're not dependent upon all the stimulants to keep yourself going day in and day out. That you have the energy, you have the clarity, so you don't wake up in the morning with this fog and this haze, like, oh gosh, it's another day. You can get away from that.
Exactly.
So now, obviously, when you think about sleep, that's important there, and then it's you focus in on like your goals in terms of like nutrition, but then what are some of those things that people can do to improve their brain performance so that way with the way that they're thinking throughout the day, the things that they're doing, it's clearer, they're more productive in that same period of time?
Yeah, definitely. I would say the diet that I talk about, and just being able to have your brain run on ketones as opposed to glucose, is one of the best things that I've learned and experienced myself. I remember about a year ago, I was talking with one of my mentors who created his own, I think 7 or 8 figure business before age of 30, and I would just ask him about, okay, what are some things that you found very helpful? And he would say, visualization, Arvin, do some visualization. I was like, okay, I'll do visualization, but I don't see anything clearly, and I can't even do this. I'm having a lot of trouble visualizing things, and I just had a lot of trouble with abstract things of thinking and visualizing stuff. And I remember there was this huge shift for me to go from not being able to visualize anything and just not being quick at thinking about, let's say, I guess thinking creatively, to just thinking, wow, this is so much easier. My visualization has changed. I see things more clearly. And then also, it's like, let's say 6 or 7 p.m. at night, I still can think clearly. Like my communication has gotten better with people, and because of the, I guess, energy as well, in addition to the brain performance, my communication was better with people as well. So I was seeing all these, I guess I was experiencing all these symptoms of having a better brain performance. And then I looked up the research, and it so happens that, let's say, if you, one of the things you can do is, let's say, if you can change your diet so that your brain runs on ketones, it's a more effective fuel for your brain than glucose.
Okay.
And so here's, that's one of the ways that you can hack your brain performance, I guess, or boost your brain performance.
Okay. Now, how long did it take for you to make that switch where you're using more ketones in your body than glucose, especially when it comes to brain performance? Was it something that you accomplished overnight, or did it take a period of time?
Usually it takes from 3 days to about 5 weeks.
Okay.
To have your body run on ketones.
Okay. And what are some of those other benefits people would expect when their body makes that shift going from glucose to ketones?
Yeah, so if they want to lose body fat, that's definitely something that it's a lot easier that way, because their body becomes a fat burning machine, and they get to experience that I guess boost in burning fat because of how their body runs.
Right.
And then again, if you also done some chemistry, or for any of the audience done chemistry, if you look at a molecule of fat, it has more hydrogens, and by burning fat as opposed to, say, carbohydrate, you get more energy released from just burning that. This is like a simple, if you just think about it as a simple reaction in chemistry. Then so from that, then you would feel more energetic. That's just so natural, and you become this fat burning machine that has energy all the time, mm-hmm. and it's so much more than just having your body run on carbohydrates.
Right. Oh, naturally. It's the more energy you can be able to produce, the better off you are going throughout the day. And so,
of course.
Now, when people if they start going down that route, when they're going that transition, will they still have those crashes? Like, let's say they've been eating the donuts like we were talking about before. Like, okay, I'm going to go for the ketones. Should they just be mentally prepared that they're going to have those days like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Because their body's going through this transition.
Yeah, and that's another great thing about this approach of having your body running on ketones and becoming this fat burning machine is that you feel satiated all day. And I know, coming from just running my own business and just seeing a lot, working with a lot of busy professionals, is that they're going to be presented with that friend, that meeting where they just offer them donuts, offer them something they're not going to be super proud of taking on and receiving right after the meeting or
Right.
right after eating it. And there's that social pressure. And not only that, if you don't feel satiated all day, you're using your willpower on your diet, then you're just going to perform poorly on your business, or going to perform poorly on whatever else that you're doing that's even more important for you to do throughout the day. So feeling satiated, not wanting, actually just feeling so neutral about saying, okay, I just saw this bucket of ice cream just brought to our house with a lot of cookies and chocolate chip cookies, and all this great stuff is on the counter, and I'm just looking at it, but I feel satiated and I don't even need to eat it.
Right.
I think that's powerful.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can't beat that if you can have that satiety so much faster.
Right.
So, okay, now this is really good stuff. Now then, what is it once people start implementing all these different things that they should be thinking about? Like, how long does it really take if you're going to be hacking your sleep, you're going to be hacking your brain performance, you're going to be hacking your diet so you have more energy? What's a realistic timeline for somebody to do it all?
Yeah, and I think it's I guess I would give the analogy of thinking about the personal development. How long does it take to personally develop yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the answer is, as long as you want to develop yourself, and you can do the training as long as you want, and then the more you do, the more you get. And when you stop, then you just left with the results that you've gotten already. So can you continue to do more and just come up with new ways of hacking your biology, hacking your diets? Of course, every day there are being studies and different things people do where you can learn, and just, or even if you have a coach, if you are in a program, you can learn on a daily basis to be able to improve on a daily basis. But to answer your question, like, can someone do just one thing today to be able to get that shift or get closer to that shift? I think you can. You can just start today, just do one thing and see results. And then the sky is the limit. So you can do a lot more, and based on what your goals are.
Right. Okay. And that's just so vital when you understand those things. That it makes so much more sense when you have all of that like encapsulated. Like, okay, that this is investing in yourself. That you're going to master one thing, you're going to do the next, and do the next. So you stick with it instead of trying to do it all at once, and then it doesn't really work the way that you're hoping for. Which that's just a profound thing to be thinking about. So now, obviously, when it comes to hacking your body and you're doing all these things, what's one thing that people can do today that will at least get them started in that motion of, maybe I can make changes so my body can perform better?
One thing they can do today, I would say, I would say sleep is super important. If they can do one thing today, can they shift their schedule? How to schedule sleep? Downtime. Can they have that downtime for themselves to be able to just say, hey, this is a time I want to take care of myself. And by, let's say, 9:30 p.m., 10 p.m., it's different for a lot of people. Sometimes people are shifting from, let's say, 3 a.m. to a little bit closer to 12. And so whatever it is for you, maybe sleep another hour, and just add on an extra hour to the amount of sleep that you get, so then you get that full hour for, if it's for you, if it's 7 hours, if it's 6 hours, 7 hours and a half, whatever that is for you. Can you get closer to that? Just hard schedule it, so then by the end of this week, you feel the difference, and your productivity improves, your just emotional mastery changes. And so I would say that's one thing they can do starting today.
Okay. Oh, excellent. Yep. It makes a difference when you can start with something that's so simple and straightforward that can truly help them with what they want to do. So now, how can people be able to reach out to you and learn more about ultimately hacking their biology to increase their performance?
Absolutely. I'm going to have my online course. So it's been redone and it's just going to be up again on Udemy. So you can look and you can just go from my website, arvinkhamseh.com, which is spelled as ARVIN. My last name, KHAM as in Michael, S as in Sally, E as in Echo, H as in Hotel.com. You can find my online course there. You can also look into group coaching and one-on-one coaching. And I'm also on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook, and they can also find me there.
Oh, excellent. Well, I want to thank you for coming on to the Big Movement podcast today and sharing your wisdom about how people can begin helping themselves by hacking their biology and improving their performance day to day.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.